Hello, everyone. Just giving it a minute to see if anyone signs on, but I think a bunch of us are coming on later. Hello. Drop a comment or an emoji if you're here. Yay. Just holding on for like 20 seconds. Yeah. How's everyone doing on this fine Tuesday afternoon? Okay. It's great to have you. Let's go ahead and get started. Today I am talking about flute tone, answering some of your questions that you posted this week in the Facebook group. And yeah, so the main things people were asking about were stress and tension and how that kind of relates to flute tone, which it does a lot. So we're going to go over that and some strategies to fix that. Also, the second octave dropping down or sounding breathy in that upper octave, we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about tone colors. So if there's anything else you guys would like addressed, feel free to comment below. Hello. Great to have you, Joan and Hannah. Okay, so we're going to get started with stress and tension. When you're tense, or stressed, when we're stressed, we tend to get tense. At least I do. You're going to feel tightness in your jaw, potentially, tightness in your neck, potentially, in your shoulders. Let me know if you guys have had shoulder, neck, or jaw pain before, because that's really common with flute players. Yeah, go ahead and let me know if you've had that. But basically, when we're tense here, it's going to make our airway a little constricted. And then you're not going to produce as good a sound. It's not going to be as full. So one thing that I notice a lot that creates too much tension, and I'm going to go profile for this so you can see, is I notice some flute players kind of putting their neck too far forward like this. And there's really a difference in our posture when we play like this. So this sort of thing is not good. It's not good for our posture. And that's going to create tension in your neck, and then that's going to create tension in your jaw, and everything's just going to be too tight for you. So think about your body as like a resonating chamber for your sound. If your body is nice and relaxed, then your sound is going to be nice and relaxed. Jaw pain, that is what we're talking about next. So the other thing is our jaw. First of all, leaning too far forward can sometimes cause us to have to put the jaw forward to compensate for the fact that we're leaning and we're not standing up straight. So that could be something that's causing the jaw pain. If you maybe look in the mirror and see, okay, am I standing up as straight as I possibly can when I'm playing flute? And I like to say, touch the back of your head, like the base of your head where it meets your neck. There's like a little like groove that's like softer that you can feel. That's like a ball and socket joint where your skull meets your spine. Hence why you can roll your head around. You want to touch that and just kind of roll your head until it kind of balances in a spot. For me, it's right here. So this is where I want to be playing my flute. And if I am, you might find that that jaw relaxes. So another thing that could be causing jaw pain, if you're stressed or just maybe used to doing this, is putting your jaw too far forward. So this is something that I notice flute players doing a lot, especially to get high notes out sometimes, like putting their jaw forward to try and get the high note out, but you don't want to move your jaw like that at all. The only way you want to move your jaw is to open and close it. So let's say, you want to open your jaw a little bit more, which is good to like maybe create some more space in your mouth for your tone. All you have to do is just open it slightly. But do you notice what happens when you open your jaw? It moves backwards. So sometimes flute players, when they drop their jaw, they'll also push it forward to compensate, because when you drop your jaw, your air direction is going to change. Hence, you're going to blow down more, which is actually good. We want that. So just pay attention to that. Let me know, Hannah, if that helped. Hi, Anna. Yeah. So let me know if that helped, or if you have any other questions about jaw pain. But yeah, I find that doing some neck stretches, and maybe in a future video or in our virtual summit, we could do like a stretch day. I have some neck stretches that I really like to do that are super helpful. But I want to make sure I cover all the questions. So gonna move on now to why the sound drops in the high register sometimes. So the person who asked the question is talking about, I think, this sort of thing. When they go to play a high note, maybe like, maybe those notes, they hear lower notes. Lower notes come out instead when you're doing the higher note fingering, and it's like, why is that? So that is an airspeed thing, mostly, and it's also an embouchure thing. So in the context of flute tone, lots of things contribute to a good sound for us. Our posture. If we're nice and relaxed, we're going to sound that way. If we're tense, we're going to sound that way. Our airspeed impacts our tone. Our embouchure impacts our tone. The placement of our tonguing impacts our tone. All these things relate. So if you're having problems with those high notes coming out, I would do 2 checks. First thing I would check is your airspeed. You want to be blowing faster in the high register. Like if I had to guesstimate, it may be twice as fast. So like a low A, kind of like this note, you'd need to blow twice as fast for the octave to come out. And then if you want to play the really high A, that one, 3 times as fast. That's just like a ballpark thing. It's not necessarily the rule for everyone, but if you're having trouble getting those notes out, I would try that first to see if that helps. The other thing that's going to help with high notes, and this is the workaround for not blowing faster. Like, have you ever wondered how to play high notes really quiet? Obviously, you're not going to be blowing super fast. The workaround with that is making your embouchure smaller. But the important thing here is to remember not to get tense when you make your embouchure smaller, because what happens when we get tense? We sound tense. So how do you make your embouchure smaller for the high register without tensing up? And one of you actually commented about, reading online about tightening the corners of your mouth. So I'm going to debunk that for you because I don't really like that advice. We all have different shaped mouths, by the way. So one person's advice doesn't necessarily work for everyone. It's so individual. Our faces, our physique, the way we live, what stresses us out, our experiences are all different. So that's why, private music lessons are so popular, so that you can get that one-on-one instruction and really find out what exactly is going on with you. I've definitely spent time in the past listening to one master be like, oh, your finger's in the wrong spot, you need this extension, and I'm like, oh my god, if I don't get the extension, I'm not gonna ever improve. And then I get the extension, and then I end up getting hand problems, and then nothing actually helps, and then I have to rechange my hand position a year later, and it's all because I didn't put it into context for me. So anytime I give you advice or you read advice from somebody else, just make sure that you put it in context for yourself. And if you need that extra support, I'm not really sure if this is what I need, then reach out for that one-on-one help. Okay, so making your embouchure smaller. Put your lips forward. It's as simple as that. So if you think about if you've ever seen a fashion magazine, or when people are walking down the red carpet, they posing or whatever, they're saying the word prune. So when you say the word prune, you're kind of putting your lips forward a little bit. We like to say Other flute players I've met in the past are just like, you need to tighten your lips when you get into the high register. While that's true, technically, I like to think of putting the lips forward because they're going to tighten naturally anyway. But if we think tighten, then we're going to over tighten, and that's not going to be fun. Not going to be good for our flute sound either. So put your lips a little more forward and see if that helps. And actually, I'm going to play a little bit of some octave jumps that you might look at what my lips are doing, because I'm not really changing my airspeed at all. So you can literally move your lips to be small, bigger, small, bigger, kind of like that. Okay, cool. So yeah, let me know if you have any other questions. Oh, Hannah, sorry, I'm just seeing this. I never thought we'd move. Okay, cool. Can you talk about octave jumps? So perhaps I might have just covered that. Let me know if I did. But when you're jumping octaves, same two things apply. Faster air or lips forward. Kind of two ways. If you're not used to doing octave jumps, I would start out by just doing the faster air. So da da, where you do faster air at the top, like twice as fast. So kind of like this. And then work your way down. Like just as an exercise. So maybe start there and then move on to, let's see if we can make that octave jump a little quieter by blowing not twice as much air at the top, but instead putting our lips forward to help us a little bit, like I was just talking about. Yeah, so let me know if that helped. And that is octave jumps. Hooray! Okay, so the last thing I was going to touch on are tone colors. Anyone ever read the Trevor Y book or worked through it? He likes to be like, oh, play this couple of measures yellow and these measures purple. And then here's, like something from the aquarium, play it green and blue. You might be familiar with that. It's like I used to do that when I was learning in high school. I was like thinking flute, like colors all the time. I was like writing like red, light blue, blah, 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 all in my music. And it's very individualized. I think the problem with expecting everyone to have the same color is that it's going to mean something different to everybody. So what does yellow mean to you? To me, yellow is like something that's going to sound a little bit more pale, not too intense, maybe a little on the airy side. And purple is going to sound, purple to me is like a royal color. I feel like we're getting into branding colors here. Brand your sound. But yeah, it's royal. It's so big and dark and special and has lots of energy. So that's purple to me. And then red might be like kind of an intense color. So basically what you do for tone colors is play around. Play around with the space inside your mouth. Don't adjust your tonguing. The tonguing should be consistently the same. But you can change the shape of your mouth. For example, you could do vowels like A, I, E, O, U, E. Like you could adjust those things. You can, after you tongue, you can move your tongue to different spots of your mouth. You can use vibrato, no vibrato. You could put your lips forward and slow down your air to kind of get like a more pale sound. Or you could loosen up your lips a lot and use a lot of air and open up really wide, and that's how I would probably get the purple sound. So tone colors are individual. I personally don't really like to follow strict advice about colors. Like, if you want to go ahead and do that, that's cool. You should. But I think the purpose of the Trevor Y exercises is more to bring out that contrast because purple and yellow are pretty different. And then green and blue, aren't as different, but he wants you to be able to kind of put those differences in to any colors anyway. So I think with that, I would strive for just differences in your tone that you like. That's the most important thing, is you must like the sound you're producing. Um, yeah. Okay, cool. So just gonna check the comments to see if we have any other questions. I think I covered things, but if I didn't, please let me know. Comment below with more, and we will gladly share more information with you guys. Really happy to have you here. And if you're watching later, good morning, good evening, whatever time it is. And we'll see you in the Facebook group. Bye.